How's that looking? That's not bad. I need a haircut, especially before I go to MFF. We just got a new webcam here. It's a chunky looking guy, the Elgato face cam, so that's hopefully going to be a bit better. I also got lights, but I haven't really dealt with this. I'm using a big, giant stage light right now, which is a bit much because I did the other ones I actually set up for my desk I don't have on hand yet. But anyway, I made it a visual novel again, so let's switch over to my other thingy. You might remember I made a game called Since November last year for the November Game Jam with phwog and Red Means Recording doing the art and music. And that was a cool game that you should check out if you haven't yet already. We worked really hard on that last year. But this year, I teamed up with Ka, our dungeon master over at Null Playing Games, and we made a game called 3 Days to Live, which sounds, for people that played Since November, similarly grim, but it's actually a game about real-life furry conventions, which is a concept that I think, I could be wrong, there's a lot of furry visual novels, I think has never been explored in a visual novel yet. So I thought that'd be fun to explore and spend some time on there. So it's a pretty realistic and like reasonably grounded slice of life story about cartoon animals. And why are they cartoon animals if it's about a furry convention? That's explained too, more or less, in the story. But yeah, I did lead writing here. Ka helped a lot with writing too, and also programmed the game, and also kind of produced the game, and that he was kind of like the team leader that helped coordinate with everybody else, which was nice for me because I have like a mental delay where for some reason, even whenever I get art from the artist or the musician, I'll just sit there and not be able to like come up with a thing to say about it for way too long for some reason. I don't know why. I think it just is like anxiety. It's not like I'd take that long to form an opinion, but I weirdly get anxious about saying things about it, even though I don't even have to give negative notes usually. It's often just a matter of it being good, but like it's leading stuff stresses me out. phwog and Red Means Recording were once again back for music and art, so you'll see some familiar art styles in here. But yeah, these are two games that you can check out if you are an adult. Neither of them are pornographic. They're not NSFW by several definitions. They're obviously NSFW in that you can't play furry visual novels at work unless you have a cool job. Generally speaking, you're not supposed to play video games at work unless you have a cool job. So that's always been a weird way of labeling things, but by most online uses of the term NSFW, neither of these visual novels are NSFW, but they both do feature adult content and themes and so on, and are meant for adult readers. This one was for the November Jam, so if you want to, when you go to my store page, in the description, you can also click on this right here to go to the November Jam, and then click on submissions to see all of these other people that have also participated in this jam. And you can check out a whole lot of games if you've got a weekend to kill. Weekend. It's Monday. It's Tuesday? What day? Oh my god, what day is it? I think it's Monday. Yeah. I lost all sense of time and space because I was working on this and trying to get this done. And we're really proud of it. We're really happy with how things turned out here. Our plumbing exploded a bit on the final stretch of this. So there was a funny bit where I was like, I can't even think about this for a few days. I'm just stressed out about what's going on with the house right now. And then I was like, okay, I'm finally back in place. I can go back. I'm going to go back out in the world there, and I'm going to write more visual novel. And so I added a final scene that responded to some feedback that we got. And I changed the ending and did some little additions here and there. And I was like, all right, there we go. And I thought I was doing all right. Little did I know the next day at 2:00 was the final day of the entire jam. And I was like, oh, it's a good thing I got out in time to make these final changes. I completely lost track of where I was in the month and how over the jam was. It ended at 2 p.m., which was weird. That might be based on Europe time or something like that, but considering that this jam also starts like 2 or 3 days early, it does feel weird that it ends in the middle of the final day and not like at the end of the final day by most people's standards. But it's over now, so everyone is supposed to not touch their game jam game and not change the files for the next month so that people can look at them and sort of experience the results of the jam as it was. And then after that, we can then do additional updates where we might have a couple art tweaks and some typo changes, and I don't know, maybe I'll get this or that criticism and think like, oh yeah, I should change that scene a bit or something. But as it stands right now, unlike last time, the game is done. This is the entire story and all of the intended art. There was a couple like stretch goal type things where like, oh, that'd be cool to have art of that aren't quite there, but I wouldn't assume that they'll ever happen because they just weren't the actual important like CGs and so on. Like since November, it took a few months to get like the second half of the CGs drawn later on, and so I had to update it later to have the 1.0 version. This is the 1.0 version of 3 Days to Live, so you can just play it right now, and it's on Windows and Linux and Mac and Android. I have only tested the Windows version. I believe Ka has tested the Android version. I don't think we can test the Mac and Linux version, so we just have to trust that the export process works correctly because we don't even have those devices. But so far, people seem to like it a lot. It was an interesting project to work on. It touches on a lot of concepts that I've just never seen in a furry visual novel. So part of it, the goal was just to sort of explore some of that stuff and just kind of just exist in a different space and kind of tell what is to some extent like a very real story for a lot of people that is relatable and interesting, or even somewhat instructional to some people about elements of conventions and queer culture and just being gay and traveling into queer spaces and what that can mean to people and all these other things in a way that doesn't usually come up in furry visual novels. It might come up thematically and metaphorically, but not directly, because furry visual novels are so based on the inherent premise that everyone is a anthro animal. So you might have the fantasy about being a human that visits furries or something like that. But beyond that, that's as far as it goes. You don't really have to deal with most real life concepts in the most direct way, because so much of furry is in a fantasy setting, in that the furries are a fantasy, but also like they, in many cases, literally like medieval looking fantasy settings with magic and stuff like that, or sci-fi settings, or vaguely real world, but everyone's an animal person, and maybe it's just kind of unquestioned that people are also queer and so on, because that's just like part of the world building and so on. The closest we get sometimes is Echo, but even in Echo, there's elements of the real life world that is experienced directly by the furry audience that reads these visual novels that can't be expressed in Echo because humans don't exist in Echo. Like human society doesn't exist in Echo. This weird Echo mirror of the human world exists in there, but it's not like literally our world in the same way. So that was kind of fun to poke at. I'm rambling at this point. But yeah, check out our game. There's no real call to action in this case. It's just a game. I have monetization turned off completely, and that, by which I mean like there's no optional donate button, because I believe the shadow ban thing still exists on itch.io, where you can't have any kind of monetization on adult content, which does incentivize us just to not label adult content. Like, since this isn't pornographic, I could arguably claim it's not adult or something, but that's by the general standards of like furry community stuff, the themes that are touched upon here would generally be things that we then mark as adult, and so I have done so. Spent a whole month on this. Like, so if you want to just like throw money someone's way, you can hop on my Patreon if you want to donate to me. You can hop on you can go to Cause channel over here, and you could go onto the Patreon for his furry visual novel, or you could go buy one of his tabletop RPG books. Don't know if there's you could subscribe to Red Means Recording on YouTube. I don't know how all the ways to get money to people if so desired. And you can follow phwog on Blue Sky. All the links are here as you see fit. I was actually really shocked by how much people wanted to support my visual novel last time. We got so many voluntary donations. I think we got like 200 or something like that, which was wild. Still not like an efficient way of making money as far as like the work that went into the visual novel all a month versus the return that came from it. But given that it was a completely it was a game that was free. That was like, I was really shocking by the outpouring of people that wanted to throw stuff our way. But anyway, just check out our game. Hope you have a good time. It was a lot of fun to make. It feels like an irresponsible use of time because I have all this other shit that I should be working on, but I also might just do it again next year too, just because it does feel good to like have a big project every year that you'd like really commit to. You work with some talented people, the thing, it gets made, and then you get to look back on that thing you made and like, yeah, we did that. Most of the months that I have marked in my calendar aren't that eventful, and I don't have a thing to look back on that I can be that proud of. So it's really cool to have made a cool thing. I like that. I'm happy that we did that thing. Also, this throat knot shirt. I should acknowledge. Fucking is on our No Playing Games store. I should make a Hammer version that looks like the one that Hammer's wearing, like color wise. Because we just thought it'd be funny to put the shirt there, which is from our Cape Escape series, it's based on the fictional band that Killer Dave has, and then we made that as merch at one point, and then we thought it'd be funny to have a character wearing the shirt in the game, which is a bit of fun. Completely insane shirt. You are so brave if you ever wear this outside. Like, conventions are one thing, but even then it's like, wild shirt. Anyway, see you guys next time. I'm just rambling, and I gotta get some shit done today. Oh god.